Okay. I'm just gonna do the drum editing from this track that we're on right now.
Great.
I don't use any drum machines or anything like that. I just find them to be a little bit of a waste of time. Some of them
Yeah.
have merits. I know a lot of guys like Machine and stuff like that, and I think they're cool. I find in Cubase the audio editing is pretty decent, so
Mm.
I just do everything straight onto a channel. So the way I do most of the stuff is literally just I'll bring in my media library. We'll we'll have a look for just some loops or whatever. Let's go to just electroshock. I do use a lot of engine stuff. Some people don't like them. I think they're perfectly good.
Mm.
Um,
I think a lot of people don't like Vengeance stuff because people use the same atmospheres and little riffs, but the
yeah,
actual drums are great.
yeah. You know, as a producer, sometimes as well, like I'll get pissed off when I hear somebody using the same FX sample over and over again. But then at the
Mm.
end of the day, you think about it, it's just a freaking FX sample. I mean, who cares if it's the same noise splash that somebody else has used? You know,
Yeah.
that's not what makes the track. So
No.
it's yeah, classic case of it's what you do with it, not what it is. You know.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I'm gonna load up two different examples of percussion. Like I brought in a loop there, and then we'll go to uh, actually we actually did from the last session. I did a few extra bits and pieces. Um, we'll take a look at it here now. So basically, there's my claps and snares. Again, layering it's really a big part of everything I do. If we can solo these and you can have a listen. So that's kind of like it's not really a clap, it's a snare, quite nice and punchy, a little bit of reverb on the end. The next one's going to be the stereo element. If we look at these, it's actually a clap with a bit of a pre-roll in front of it.
Hmm.
Whereas the sort of snap of the clap comes in at the mark there. But this one has a stereo delay on it. Again, like we'd set up earlier, that artificial double tracking effect. So you get that really nice sort of sucking stereo effect kind of sound on the snare.
So it's like one snare is taking care of the attack, and this is.
Those little extra layers, they might be subtle, but it just kind of adds that real sort of professional polish to your sounds,
Mm.
which is exactly what I'm trying to get at with the claps and snares. So that's the comp of all three snare and clap samples together. That's just a little bit of detail there as well.
You got a little snare, an extra.
That's just like an add-on. Like you can actually see there, it's just kind of a little bit of detail. It's not actually on the where the snares normally go.
Mm.
More like a little percussion kind of sound thing.
Okay.
Moving down. Actually, yeah. Sorry, I want to be back here where all the new stuff is that we put in. Open hats, pretty straightforward. Just hats. They got a little bit of reverb on them to give them a little bit more stereo spread. Shakers. These shakers have got auto pan on them. Just to kind of
Okay.
bring out the stereo field a bit more. You can see they kind of set up to pan it sort of like 50% left and right on every eighth note. So you kind of, I mean, originally it was just like that, and turn them on, you get this nice open stereo sound.
Is that okay? So this is something I've been hearing in protoculture tracks for a while. Is this the key? This auto pan?
Um, no,
In
not always.
sound
Like the auto pan's definitely it's always an element of it, but it's only a small part of of it as a whole. There's other. Well, I think in this case, there's not all that much happening as far as the hi-hat's concerned. But you'll see, like in the next like track deconstruction we do, I've actually got I think I counted last time 6 hi-hat tracks, all doing different things.
Hmm.
So you kind of you have like this composite of it again, and like the shakers with the auto pan is just like a part of that, which just kind of
Hmm.
adds to the whole stereo field. But again, they kind of sound weird by themselves if you just do that. They need that little bit of extra something in there to make them work. Okay,
Hmm.
that's okay. We get into the loops now. Those kind of I quite like sort of loops to be quite messy and not too tight, because it kind of adds a bit of a live kind of sound to it, which I think is good. I'll run through the way that I do loop importing. This is one that I just brought in now as a brand new loop. We'll just check that one out. Okay, it's in a slightly swinged pattern, which we're not going to use because we're in straight right now.
Hmm.
Obviously 128 BPM, not 130 where we're working. So the way I do things is Cubase has got this pretty nice. Well, firstly, I tend to stick everything into these little folders. I think it just keeps it really nice, and Cubase is quite cool like that. You can just by alt clicking create a new part and just paste them together, and you get everything like nicely into these little folders that you can work in.
Hmm.
So we'll just we'll click on this loop. First things first, we want to hit the hit points, which is over here. So now everything outside of the little tube that you're making on the inside is gonna get a hit point. So that looks about right. You want to just kind of touch on all the peaks. Just hit create slice and bam. It's pretty
Wow.
much like how you do it in Ableton. I know Ableton you can slice to a sampler. I think in Cubase you can. I don't do it often, but I think they actually have added a function now that you can export slices to their built-in drum machine.
Just
Um,
gets so complicated, doesn't it?
yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of using those drum machines and stuff. You can do some cool stuff with them, like moving grooves around by changing MIDI
Mm.
notes. But then again, you can do exactly the same thing just by moving the audio parts around. So
Mm.
I
I think
tend
the
to
thing with
just
the audio is that you can just see it. There's
yeah,
something about being able to see it. When your drums are MIDI notes, it's like
yeah.
you can't manipulate it the same way.
Well, there's another reason why I do it in audio, which we'll come to now as well. Okay, so it's just there. Everything's in line. What we're gonna do is I always have a couple of shortcut keys that I use a lot. For example, like if you look here at the quantize section, I have the QWERTY section on my keyboard set up to change your quantize from 128, 132, 16, 4, and 1. It's just something I use a lot, so I like to have those on hand. Another one is bounce, which is I've set to B. So anytime I want to bounce in place, I just hit B and it's done.
Hmm.
So once we're on 16th, we can just quantize. There we go, all done, and we can bounce that in place. So it's one single file again, and now it should all be okay. Those little bits you can edit out. I'm not going to sit and tweak them too much now just because of time constraints. But again, like if you hit Alt on the quarter notes, there you go. It sliced them up automatically, and you can put in your sidechain, and you've got loops all set up. Not a perfect example because there's just a few little bits there that aren't great, but yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. And then the benefit of like what you can do as well is also instead of using the quarter marks like that, you can actually stick it onto 16ths. And because it's all quantized now, just bang them into 16th sections, and you can do some cool stuff like, fiddle with the envelopes, maybe make it really tight. And, maybe even just go in and do some destructive audio editing on single notes like that as well. Which I actually did earlier, like on these percussion parts. We just imported a couple of sounds. They were just dry samples, but in Cubase now it lets you kind of reverse and add reverbs and things just destructively, which I do a lot when I'm busy with audio editing. So we can just use plugins. Let's say just a bit of distortion, bit crusher, just on that one sound. So okay, so. Maybe we want to stick a reverb on there. Do that. So yeah, this is really cool working in audio this way. Yes, it is destructive, but I find, committing to stuff like this forces your hand. You kind of do things because you have to, like, you can't go back to the MIDI note or whatever, so you kind of end up experimenting quite a lot, and you end up with some really interesting ideas you normally wouldn't get if you were working in MIDI. Just to put it in context. Nice little interesting little percussion parts with that, like destructive audio editing like that. When you're working with composite loops, there's a really cool way of doing that in Cubase. Is if you turn on lane editing, and I do this sometimes for especially these vengeance loops. We're talking about everybody using the same sound. A really good way of getting different loops that that sound quite original and stuff is if you pull in a loop and you turn on lanes, you can actually bring in other audio material, maybe a completely different loop, and you can bring those into your various lanes. Let me just try and come on, there we go. So these are different loops that I'm bringing in here, but they're all playing on the same audio track. So you can see the top is basically the result of everything. If you go into this with your cutting tool, and you can start messing around, cutting things, you can go down to even like down to the 16th note level, like cutting out just snares and stuff. When you come back here and you start playing with the muting tool, you can unmute things and mute them, and you'll see now that the final result at the top basically is whatever is unmuted.
Okay.
So you've got maybe just a little bit of that playing over there. You've got a little bit of that one playing at the beginning. So you kind of can build up this composite loop from like 3 or 4 different loops just by clicking sounds on and off, which is quite a cool way of mixing things together.
I'm glad they
kind of
changed
does.
that. That's more like how they. I was comping takes in Logic the other day, and that's the way they do it in Logic as well. It actually makes so much more sense than the way.
Yeah, it was actually designed. This was designed for working with vocals, vocal takes, so you can cut out the best parts of the takes. But I find it actually works really well for just like kind of comping other stuff together, like loops and so on.
Great tip.
So once you've got your kick and your bass bed down, what do you do about percussion? What do you do next? Do you just start putting loops in? Do you program your own loops?
Yeah,
What's
basically,
your next step?
I'm chasing for those kind of atmospheric, like I always put like 8 bars of kick and bass going, like, and try to feel that, like it's the beginning of the track. Basically, I start my track from the kick and bass. Later, I come back and I do the intro, because sometimes I do intro first, but basically most of the time I do like from the kick and bass. So when the kick and bass starts. So I
You
put
know-
here, I found. Sorry?
Hey Marco, you know what would be really cool? Would be like, for instance, could you like solo your kick and bass and then add your percussion channels one by one and build it up?
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
can,
for
so
sure.
we can see all the little
Yeah,
layers
but-
that you do.
But it needs to be later on the track, so
Yeah.
okay. Just a second. Something
There's
like this.
automation
So
there.
basically it's sometimes for the kick I'm trying to find like a hi-hat that is going in the same
Great.
way as kick do, just to give more punch on the kick. Something like this one, if you guys can hear.
Can you play that with the? Can you solo the kick with that as well? And then
Yeah. So basically these are the kick and bass only, and when I add this one, it has a little high punch on the kick.
So that's
brings
Yeah.
it out, brings out that kick a little bit more on the high end and sort of lets it
Yeah,
come
a
through.
little. Yeah. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Basically depends from the kick or from a track or what do you want to get, but. It's not bad idea, you know, to put like really small one. So
Yeah.
this is like 1/16, so it's really short.
tiny.
Yeah, really,
tiny.
just to give this high end the kick. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So ma-
when I do that, I go on like with finding I call it mid hat.
Okay.
It's the small one that goes opposite from the kick, so basically kick and bass, and this one, and then so it's
So you got a
also
little
like
offbeat there.
yeah, like it's going like offbeat mode, but it's also small one, so it's just
Okay.
for a first part of the when the drums are coming in, like percussions and everything.
Yeah.
And let's see, because basically there is no rule for me. I'm always working around until I get the sound that I'm really satisfied with, and this is the rule number one, because there are no rules. You just need to get the results, and everybody needs to find the ways. So don't follow the rules. Try to do crazy things, you know, because you know
Yeah. You
never
you
know
can
what's gonna
find
happen.
some crazy
Yeah.
crazy ideas and really good results from just experimenting around. Yeah.
We just have a real quick question from Kenneth saying,
Okay.
where do the hat sounds come from?
Basically, it's from Vengeance, but on the end, it's how do you treat your sounds and what do you do with them. Basically, you can do whatever you want. You know,
Yeah.
if it sounds good to you, then it's good.
It
You
is
know,
good.
probably
Yeah.
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 It's just a matter of practice, and one day you will figure it out. And I like Vengeance because they have so many, you know, on the one place, so I don't need to go from folder to folder and chase around. I just
Sure.
go into one folder, and for sure, if there is like 100 hi-hats, one needs to fit in, you know, for sure. And every time you can go into another folder and always find something that fits in for you.
So,
So
keep building
basically-
the percussion. What's next?
Yeah. When I find the hats, like there, next thing is always the snare. So
Okay.
I just need to find, because I'm not so good in naming everything what's called. As you can see, it's all just audio.
Yeah.
But I do coloring, so when it's green, I know it's light green. I know it's a percussion section. Yeah, so this is why I always put the colors. For me, it's really important, so I
Yeah.
can find sound easily. Basically,
It's hard when you're working fast. Oh, that
Yeah,
snare
yeah,
sounds
for
great.
Yeah, really nice snare, man.
yeah, this snare, let's see. Yeah, it's a mix of probably 5 or 6 snares all the time, so I bounce it and called it like Eclipse snare, but
Okay,
I
so
don't know,
you're,
do I have
you're
it?
layering up your snares?
yeah, I layering a lot, really a lot. Like in this track, I also think I have 2, like. Yeah, I have this one. This one is Vengeance 16 for sure. Yeah, it is.
And
Because this is the one that gives a little bit of punch.
Yeah.
Because I like the claps a lot, so how they fit with the kick and bass.
Nice.
But I don't find them that they are kicking the kick, you know, like giving the power on it. So I basically always find if I use clap, I always find some snare that's giving a bit more punch on the kick, like this one. It's really high passed a lot, as you can see, but it gives the kick really good results. And now when I play both of them,
can you just bring up that? Can you just bring that EQ up again and take it off so we can hear the difference?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, this one. This is this is without. You can hear if on analyzer. Actually, we will do it like this. That it has a lot of 200 hertz.
Yeah.
If you can see the peak, so basically I try to do it like this.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't sound well, so I just gave one more
notch.
Yeah. It's low cut, so high pass actually.
Yeah.
So, but it's like only 6 dBs, you know, because for this case I found like this is good, like to get a little bit slower cutting.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I got like this. You will find a lot of snares today like sounding like this, like a hi-hat. I'm not liking it that much, because for me it's the snare needs to be snare, needs to punch, you know, needs to have a lot of meat and everything. But the easiest way today, like many artists are doing, is just putting one snare, compress it a lot, and high pass it, and it sounds good. But for me, there are no mids in the drum session, and for me, it's not good.
Do you
basically
mono
I have
snares?
No, basically I mono only the bass, and the kick is already in mono, but they are going through the stereo channels. Just for me, it's easier, because if I now make like one audio or one mono channel, when I make another one, it will make them automatically mono. So I don't want to think about it. So I just, you know, if I need mono, I put in stereo channel and maybe go to the spiral and like stereo and hazer or something, and just click mono or something like this. You know, for me it's easier. But yeah, I mean, basically the kick and bass are always mono. I mean, you can see on the left and right reacts in the same levels, so basically that's it. Yeah,
it's really important, guys, with anything that's sort of sub 150 hertz, like any low end stuff, have it in mono, because it allows the speakers to do their job better, and it also means that you're not going to have any weird phasing issues.
You will not have a
bit
phasing
weird
issues
on the dance floor.
Yeah, phasing issues are the biggest problem, especially if in not treated rooms. So basically you cannot hear it, and it can happen that you are hearing it all the time and you're not aware of it, you know. So and also for getting a 3D space of a track, it's really important, because when you hear something on low end, you cannot the point where the source is, you just feel it, you know. But for the higher, you can you know, hear it where it's coming from. So basically low end just put in the mono, and for stereo leave for the melodies or whatever, or FXs or
exactly. A really good
for me,
analogy.
it's really important.
A really good analogy, that the way that someone explained it to me for the sort of 3D image, was if you imagine like a flower, so you have the very low stuff really thin at the bottom, and like really just completely in mono, and then as you go up, you get further out and out and out and out, so you can have all this stuff at the top that's, you know, shooting around your head and doing all this kind of stuff. So keep that in mind, like when, you know.
It's so easy these days with all the plugins and all the stereo enhancers to just
go nuts,
make everything stereo. But actually, I find really good produced tracks with obviously mono, kick and bass, snare, even like a lot of stuff in the middle, and then you have all the really juicy elements on the side, and then that makes a much nicer stereo image.
Definitely.
But anyway, like, do you put reverb on your snare?
Sorry, do I?
Do you put reverb on your snare?
Sometimes, if I feel that it's like a short, you know, when I want to get a little bit of tail, I put. But basically, I'm not putting like here. I only use a lot of EQing and reverb really sometimes. But if you hear this clap, it's already reverbed, and I just, because I'm doing some mix of the full-on psychedelic and progressive, so I don't want to. Claps and snares are really shorter in a like more progressive way than in full on. In full on, you have a lot of reverbs, but it's not a mistake if you do it. Just I'm not doing it. I mean, yeah, for me it's better this way, because this way I always can like control how long my it is with fade out. This is a clap, and basically I always put fade out, and this is how I treat how long they will be. So yeah, that's it.
So
we have some loops here.
Yeah, let's listen.
Yeah, let's have a look at them.
Nice.
This is some vengeance snare, yeah, for sure. Yes, it is.
That's great.
But basically, as you can hear, I really left only from 2K to 10K just to give some colors to the. You will not hear this loop for sure in the track. I'm just like filling the holes where I have like if but we have this one. This one I didn't use. Okay, so kick and bass. Yeah, and I always do, because I was playing the drums, so I always did with close heads, like 2 times faster than kick. It's just going like drummers mostly do.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, you have your feet, and for me it gives some live thing into it, and like, you know, I want to keep my music to sound live as it possible. It could, but it's not that possible too much. But anyway, I like this is what I was doing when I was kid, and I have a feeling that this gives a lot of vibe to the drum sessions.
Definitely.
And also many people notice that and ask me like, what do you do with the drums, blah blah blah, because I just know how drums, actually the live drums are working. So basically I put a little bit of simulation from that and trying to do it with synthesized ones. So okay, we have that hat again, we have the middle hat, and this is another loop. This is probably from the
Super
for me this is
hits.
this is for me, this is the key, and they're probably from the aqua trance loops. Actually it's really hard to find, but they sound something like this. So
for anyone who's interested, it was an artist, Aquatica, brought out, I think it was a CD, and then it was like a double CD. So the first CD was just his music, and then the second CD was this now very hard to find
really
sample pack called like for like electro trance, and it had all these loops. But they were gold. If you can get your hands on those, you're talking, baby.
Maybe we could see what we could do with getting a couple of them.
For sure. And so we have like kick and bass and some loops, but chasing the loops is always the hard part, because many of them are already mixed with a lot of hi-hats and a lot of, and as you see, I put my hi-hats in the loops because I want to have a opportunity to control every sound. So basically when I use loop, I always do like just some range, like frequency range, like from here is like from 500 to 10K, you know, just to give this midfield into the drums. And if I turn this off, it sounds like, as you can, a lot of high tones and not that much of the low tones. But
so what I'm getting from that is something we were doing in Sonic Speeches a lot, actually, was by low passing or high shelving and taking the high frequency off your loops, it means that you still preserve the hi-hats in the mix, so you can still hear those crucial hi-hats.
For sure,
but you're just keeping the low stuff, because if you had all those loops that you've got with all the high frequencies, then all of a sudden your hi-hats get really messy and stuff.
This one shot of the hi-hat. Let me try to so the people can see. It's basically one hi-hat
Yeah.
with just played with different volumes,
Nice.
you know, like
Velocities.
basically I can show the technique really quickly. I add native instruments, battery 4,
Uh-huh.
and with battery 4 is a really good sampler because it's really fast. So basically how does it works is that you have you have cells here. So basically you load like some hi-hat like this one into the cell and write it on this field is C1 tone. You can see it here. So A1 actually is triggering from the MIDI is triggering C1 tone. So basically this is C1. So I just drive like 4 of them and play with the velocity, something like, you know, giving some vibe to the track, you know, like not all of them doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I just duplicate it, and you can play more, you know, variations, and so you get something like this, and
That's really
immediately you have here like decay, sustain, release, like envelope, so you can make it shorter, more attack, more like you have a high pass, low pass here, you have a compressor. So basically it's really fast way to do it. And if you're not satisfied with the results, the thing is you just let it play and
sample.
just changing sample. Because I'm in the folder with the hi-hat, pressing the arrow down, and why I feel this way is the most important, because I can play it in the mix with everything and just pressing down and finding the perfect one that fits into the track, because it's really important that you hear it in the mix. But if I go into the pool and load another one, and you know, I will be really lost, you know, and I will need just for one layer. So this is the fastest way, and for me the best one. So basically this looks like this, because I always, when I finish, like, okay, this sounds good, like, okay, so I make another audio channel and just record it down, you know, just press record, and I have, maybe I don't have now because of setup, but usually this is it. So basically if you don't have this chain, you know, to record, you just can, you know, solo it, like file export it and bring it back. So this is for me the best way, and usually I have a lot of EQs here or somewhere, you know, to get to the result what do I want. So basically a lot of things I just skip, you know, and to the one audio channel which is not using the computer that much. Okay, let's move further.
So we just got a question from Justin, and he's saying, how often in a track do you create new percussive rhythms to keep your tracks from sounding the same? Wait, is that, just to clarify, Justin, is that like, I mean, how often do you vary the existing patterns, or, I mean, is it more?
No, I never, all my tracks are started from file, new, never, maybe I will use the same kick, because you can spend, like, you know, 5 years to getting a perfect one, so I don't want to spend 5 years on creating every track. So
every track,
kick, bass I make always from scratch, and even sometimes I use the same snare, sometimes not, you know, it really depends. But basically all the hats and all the loops and the things I found,
And what
maybe those sweeps.
What Justin might have meant was within one track. Would you like you know, in the first section have one patterns and then change the patterns to vary it up?
That's exactly what he meant. Yeah, that's what he just wrote. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, say you've got one hi-hat channel that's doing, I don't know, do you then change that to go like, for example, like, how often do you do that kind of thing?
To change, it really depends, you know. I'm not sure that I understand like what exactly.
Okay, he means like, for instance, would you change the percussion within one track just so that the first section is different from the second section?
Like the pattern, not so much the sound, like the same sound but different pattern.
It depends.
You can see here, like, I have some things to speed up track, like here, or. But basically, when I make something, I put it not changing the ways, even only if you do a triplets or some, you know, like
Yeah.
quantize the different quantization, so you need to move it this way. But basically, I'm not changing the way how basically, yeah, it's all patterns, like from 8 bars, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
From here to from this part to the end, it will go the same. Only if I really feel something, you know, to do interesting. But it's really small change, so it's for me it's losing a lot of time for different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's trance
But yeah,
anyway.
it could be it could be
it's supposed
interesting
to
for
be
sure. Yeah.
fancy. We've got another question here from Barat saying, do you bring in all of the closed hi-hat patterns together at the same time? Yeah, take us a bit about that. How do you sort of introduce your different percussion as you go? Like, what do you have any specific sort of guidelines, or is it just what the track needs at the time?
Basically, I always have like this one open hat. Like, yeah, I do have all every time it's like maybe 8 channels of the percussions that. Like those 2 snares we can group into the one, you know, like it's okay, it's snare, you know, but it has 2 layers. But I always have like this. No, not this one. This is it's going to the kick. Basically, I use a lot of almost every time. So it's like kick and bass, those 2 channels, and the head that goes on the top of the kick. And I always have like this middle, small one middle, that going off beat. I always have those 2 that are doing like the drummers. No, this is the loop. Sorry.
That loop sounds really good, man.
This one that are doing like 2 times faster than a kick. So 1, 2, 3, and you always have a speed hi-hats. Like, no, not like this one, but I need to have them somewhere. Yeah, like this one. So it's like. Yeah, and you always have a like open hat, and I always have at least 1 loop, but usually it's 2 loops or something. I was making percussions from a noise generator, but they always sound the same to me, so I needed to try to finding some loops, you know, so I get like different percussions in every track, because basically you can make everything, but it's not recommended by me. Somebody will tell you that it's a stealing thing, but you need to be fast and you need to get somewhere where do you want to get, and you don't have much time because other people will using it and they will be much faster than you guys, that's for sure. So what's on the market, just use it and don't feel bad about it. I lost a lot of time with thinking like this, like no, I want to make everything with my own. And when I started using like loops and sample packs and everything, I really did much faster working, and my results are much better.
It's not about how you make it; it's about how it sounds in the end.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it's like you can't sit there and be like, oh, how did you make your kick drum? It's just like, who cares? It sounds awesome. Keep moving. You know, like you're an artist. You
sure.
write melodies, you make arrangements, you do mix downs, you make psychedelic noises. It's not about how how you got there. It's just, you know, no one else can copy what you do. So just save yourself the time. You're a creative guy. You have to keep working, and you can't spend 4 hours making a hi-hat, you know what I mean? Which people do. People say, oh yeah, but like you just nicked it all from Vengeance. It's like so what? Like,
so what? I'm standing here rocking 20,000 people, and you're bitching about me nicking a sample from Vengeance.
It's
Like,
not even stealing.
for sure.
It's not even stealing, and that's what they're
I
there
mean,
for.
Prodigy.
Yeah.
If you're a Prodigy, you know, they sampled almost every sound in their tracks, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, how they make this? They didn't make any of that. they just manipulate and use it on a different way, which is also a kind of art, you know. It's not easy. If you try to do the same thing now, I'm not sure that you will get the same results, you know. Like how they sampled the Led Zeppelin sample and put it in like some, you know, Voodoo People track. It's, for me, it's really good, you know, to see. And there is a, if anybody didn't saw, there is on a YouTube video, that this guy
say,
from Ukraine did.
Yeah.
Just make
that's
just type like
incredible.
voodoo
That's
people
incredible, that video.
remake Ableton Live, and you will see how they was making the music.
He did it in like 10 minutes, didn't he? It's amazing.
nothing wrong about it. So okay, maybe we should go. Yeah. So basically two more like. But usually when I drop in some loop, I always do like, because most of the time they are really like techno, you know, like really long, like with bigger release or something. So I always chop it like on every 16 and do some kind of already done. But usually I always put like fade out or something, you know, make it shorter. And always make sure that the quantization is good, you know, like that everything is fit on the same on the exact position.
Although sometimes it can actually be nice to have things a little bit off. It can kind of
add some groove and stuff.
For sure.
Marco, can you do me a favor? Like, I think what everyone would really appreciate at home, and maybe this isn't something that you'll get now, but like when you're watching the video afterwards, could you just play like kind of maybe say 4 or 5 seconds of each percussion loop, just solo, just so that people when they're watching the video afterwards can listen closely to all these layers you have and get
no problem.
Yeah.
So this is the so I need to unsolo like every complete solo.
Yeah, just for 2 or 3 seconds of each
Okay.
one.
Yeah, just so we can hear it.
So basically this is like the head that's going on the kick. This is the drum loops that I took from the Vengeance. This is drummer hi-hat part. This is the offbeat hi-hat thing. This is another loop. This is snares, yeah.
Can you? I tell you what. Could you loop round say like 4 bars and start with just the kick, and then just add in like solo one by one on top of each other?
Okay, I just need to delete those 2 channels because I wasn't using them on the. Okay. So this is the kick. This is the bass. The hi-hat on the. Yeah, basically now I would play snare. Another loop.
Nice.
Another one. The speed hi-hats. Another loop. And also like a crash. And there is another probably clap on a big reverb. Yeah. Actually, it's clap with a delay. For me, really important, you know, because only the crash, it sounds not that good. It's actually the crash and the reverb and a delay.
Yeah.
And here I have a clap.
Okay.
It could be only a clap, like with the reverb and a delay.
Yeah.
Those a little bit darker green are always the things that I use as part of the drums section, but it's like crash sweeps. Basically this is a noise sweep, only noise coming up, but I side chained it, like I put it on a side chain, yeah, compression, which is triggered by this kick here. Yeah, that, and I have another one also here. Those
Cool.
are
So,
the sweeps.
so you're side chaining a lot of your swooshes to the kick there.
No, actually, this is a voice sample. Just sorry. What did you ask?
Oh, I just noticed that you're. That's like I guess that's one of the core aspects of your sound. A lot of the progressive sound is you're actually side chaining your swooshes to the kick drum, so it's everything's pumping.
Yeah. This is for me really important because it's without it sounds really flat, and you know, like no groove. With this sidechain compression you get like
Nice.
more. more
man,
more
that's
like
wicked.
vibey, yeah. So
Okay,
basically, yeah.
Sorry,
Sure.
we just got a couple questions. Looks like they're all kind of asking the same thing. Where are you getting your like your crashes and your whooshes and stuff? Is there certain
Crash.
hacks?
Yeah, it's also you can use from Vengeance, but the thing is how do you manipulate them, because this is basically one crash put it on a delay on a reverb with a delay that goes into the some mid part. If you hear you will hear that you lose high tones. Yeah, it's like filter delay. Basically, you can do it on so many ways. You can use bionic delay, which has a really good this kind
Great
of
delay plugin.
filter.
Yeah, bionic
Yeah,
delay.
but I found out lately that it's really, if you have some sound with like a lot of low end, that it's really destroying. It's like you lose like 1 decibel of the sound. And lately I'm using only from Sound Toys the Echo Boy,
yeah.
because it's for sure the best one that because I want from a delay that goes left and right, you know, like I don't want to go into the middle. Yeah, like ping pong. And this audio damage dub station is really good one, but it's completely you cannot do. Yeah, sometimes I use it and I put auto pan after it, so just to flip it a little bit left and right. For me, yeah.
Sorry, can we just see Bharat's saying, can we just see the EQ on the crashes? Can you just see what your settings are for that EQ wise?
Doesn't look like you have any.
No, there is no any, because this is done one. Yeah, I did this, but usually everything from a 500 will go down. Yeah, it will be for sure something like, yeah, we can analyze it and see what's happening. If you see, so basically I always do something like this. Yeah. From a crash I expect that has in a high area to have something, and for a lower parts from this mid parts I always use some clap or something like this.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah,
so you're using like a clap sound as a crash.
Yeah,
you layer that up
for
at
sure.
the same time. Wow, that's really cool.
You just can use any clap, you know, like I will be really fast, you know, with I don't know, clap. For example, this one, put it in that way. Okay, just make it a little bit less and put some really big reverb on it. I always use CRS Hall. Yeah.
Okay.
There is one preset that's already really big, because this is send. I don't know, send insert now. Anyway, so mix it like a half or something. Reverb time put to really long, like 25 seconds or something. In advanced mode you have like time. This is pretty late. I don't like it for this kind of effect. So the reverb will not have any delay, so it will start immediately when the clap starts in. And you have a high frequency, so like high pass, so basically like this. And sometimes you can put it on even, you can put it 2 times. Yeah, so and a little bit of
I just duplicated it.
Yeah, you can put it 2 times so you can get a bigger tail.
Wow.
And you can put a compression.
Massive tail.
Yeah, or even a little bit of side chain, but not that much. I'm using LFO tool for a side chaining, you know, because you can draw.
Yeah, let's talk about LFO tool. This is
a really good thing.
This is a big secret for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, LFO tool, it's only a LFO, which are, if you can see here, it's attached to only to the volume, and the rate is 140. So basically, it's like 4 times 116. So it's like 1 bar. So from the kick to the kick, it's doing to the volume, like pulling it down where the kick starts. And this is another kick will start here. So basically I'm just, if I put this down, you will understand, like, and you can draw whatever you like, you know, like any envelope curve, or even smaller one. So basically this is why I like to use LFO tool, because you have much more options and you can really control it.
Yeah.
Really good. Sometimes I use LFO tool for example on the loops also.
Yeah.
Like if the loops are big, this one is really short actually, but yeah, we can maybe on this one. No, it's not that one, it's this one. No, it's not that one. Yeah, for example on this one, just LFO tool, make it one. This is a default preset, so I will not use any preset, so just right click on this, make it flat line, and this is your, here you have volume, put it on the maximum, and on the rate put 116, and basically I just pull it down and make this way, so if you can hear, like, yeah, it's making it shorter and shorter, you know, so sometimes when you need, you know, I just, because it's going really fast, you know, like 116, so if you, yeah, so it's
really
kind
cool.
of really good to control it with many sounds. You can control like the volume, or sometimes if the snare on the loop is too high and you are too lazy to move it, you can do it with the LFO tool.
Definitely.
And everything.
Yeah, guys, really check out LFO tool. It's really good. Really good thing to check out. Yeah, it's on exforecords.com. They also make a couple of other really wicked things. Their drum plugins particularly cool. There's some really nice processing that you can do with that. So yeah, check them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So the snare, I have to tell you something. Snare is very important for me. You probably hear it in my tracks. For me, snare have to be very high, very strong. It's a
High
big
volume.
a big tool in the production. Yeah, it's a big tool in the productions. Usually, snare is opening the stereo very strong. We will see it here. I'm gonna loop it. Wait a second. People don't think about snare so important as I think, I guess. So the snare look like that. These two guys doing the snare. And you see the image of them. You can see the image? You can see the image in the analyzer. It's huge. Okay? It's very important to have an image in the analyzer of the snare to be strong, you know, to be big. Because it's really making the mix big. But you can't lose the mono in the snare. So don't forget also to have a mono in your snare. Okay, otherwise.
So you have a mono snare and a stereo snare?
Yeah, you will have to have the part of the mono inside of the snare somewhere. You know.
Okay.
I can tell you that it says here snare mix, and then another snare. In each one of them, there is 2-3 layers. Okay.
Do you have those layers?
One of the layers. Yeah, in a different project. This is the end of the project, you know.
Okay.
The project before. You just take and start to match snares, you know. You're missing a little bit of low mid, you get a snare with a low mid. The tune on the snare is very important. The tune of the snare also. It's a percussion, but it have a tone, you know. So the tone of the snare is very
exactly. I mean, do you do it by ear or do you analyze it?
Yeah, by ear, only by ear, ear. You know, you hear, you know, if you bring a snare, you know, and you bring a snare and you immediately hear that it's not on the tone compared to a different snare on the kick bass. What sounds better? And then you start to pitch it, simply to pitch it. Now, the way we're talking now on loops, right? This is this section that we talk about loops in this class. So the way I'm doing it, I always take just one snare. Make sure that the start, sorry, the start have to start on a very high, I don't know, high in the audio, you know. You're not gonna start with something that is like a little bit before, you know, just really on the peak of the audio. Start on the peak of the audio because you want the most attack on the start, okay? So you start on the peak of the audio and then you copy it for the second one, okay? Always do one and then copy it for the other one. People don't have power in the track because they're using a different snare here. Okay, that's my vision, you know. If I was putting here a different snare, and some people do tracks like that, okay? One snare here and a different snare here. Okay, I don't like it. You will hear that all my tracks, I never do something like that, okay? And that's because the snare is like a kick bass in a way for me. When it's steady and both sides are equivalent and sound the same, the track sounds strong. Okay, that's how I think about the snare.
Okay.
About the length of the snare and everything, you can use the fade. You can use what's that?
Where do you get these snare samples from?
Any sample, VSC sample, anywhere, you know.
Vengeance?
Like you take the snare and you put it and you see Vengeance anywhere, anything that is on the market, anything. I'm just like downloading loops of, I don't know, a guy did sample loops and give it to me, so I'm gonna take a part of it, you know. Sometimes it's come from a loop, a ready loop, and I'm taking just a punch of the snare. Sometimes it's, I'm taking it, sometimes I'm even taking it from a synthesizer. Every synthesizer have a bunch of snares, you know. You just take it from a synthesizer, bounce it to audio.
Do you get passed a lot of your sound from other producers?
No.
Okay.
No. You do it by yourself, but the CDs that you tell me, like what's his name? This guy.
Thomas
BT
Benton
did a CD of BT.
Thomas Benton. BT.
Something like that. Deadmau5 did a CD of samples. Whatever, you know. Swedish House Mafia have a CDs of samples. Infected Mushroom have a CD of samples. You know. Whoever did a CD of samples, you can always get there and get it. You know.
So you just
don't take snares for nobody, of course. I'm doing my snare for myself. I think there's no one snare that fit the track just like that.
Of course.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to teach here. You always have to make sure that the tone is okay and make sure that you have the right layers. You have the mono, you have the stereo, you have the high frequencies that will make your track to be open more. And you have
so when you're layering up your snares, what are you looking for? A low, a high, a mid?
Okay, so again, I'm starting with this, that we have enough mono on the snare. And then we have stereo, big amount of stereo, okay? Sometimes I even push the stereo with a stereo plug, okay? And stereo plugs, you know, like stereo expander or there is exciters like Isotope, Alloy, for example, or there is PSP exciters. Anyway, you do, but don't forget that you don't want to lose the mono, okay? So when you have a button in your mixer that pass it to mono, for example, in the RME, you can pass it to mono here, I think, okay? On that right side. I have a Suzy, I don't know what it is. It's a button that you push, you can push mono, and you can hear how it sounds in mono, and then you release it, it's stereo, you know? Use it in order to make sure that the mono stays intact in the kick, bass, and the snare. It's very important. You don't want to lose the snare when you're playing by mistake in a party that somebody connected everything in mono, okay? So it will be very embarrassing when there's no snare in the track. Okay.
So how would you lose the snare?
How would you lose the snare? What's that?
Why would you lose the snare?
Why would you lose the snare? If you don't have a mono, and you open the stereo too much on the snare, then the snare will sound like puk, 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 and then it will be very, very disappointing.
So you make a big point. Would you say that with Major 7X nowadays, it's very important to have mono and stereo snares? A lot of stereo snares.
Everything that is important in the track have to have also the mono element inside, you know.
Okay.
There's some sound that runs from right to left and everything. It's nice, man. But the most important thing in the tracks have to be also have to have a mono, a strong mono. You know, this actually I learned from hearing tracks of other people that sounds in any system, it sounds great. And I think the people who actually do that in the market today have the best sound, you know. I think Coming Soon doing it a lot with the mono layering. I think Reshef is doing it. I think Neelix and Fabio doing it. Because every time I'm hearing Fabio or Neelix playing in a party, it sounds so middle. The kick bass is a big issue. It's mono, but also other parts can be in mono. And when you have a mono system, it's always help. When you don't have a mono system, it doesn't hurt. It's not reducing the stereo image in your track. So better to know that you have the mono. And the layering of the snare, of course, you don't want to have any flangering and any stuff like that. You have to have all the frequencies in the snare. You know, you have to have most of the frequencies in snare. You don't want to have low frequencies, but you want to have 450 and 500 hertz in your. It will sound like a. It sounds like a percussion that sounds like a hi-hat, and you don't want your snare to sound like a hi-hat. You want it to hit, and hitting is in 350 and 400, and people don't do that a lot, and that's a bad thing because they're missing power in the track. Okay.
And
350 is in your face.
How much of your snare sound is down to compression? I mean, how much are you compressing a snare to make it more attacky, for example?
Not compressing a snare, though, with the compressor, because that actually usually making the tail of the snare stronger. You know what I mean? When you put in a compressor and then all the tail goes up. You don't want the tail to be so long sometime. And then like, tsh. No. You want tsh, but you want it to be attacked. So better tools to do with the snare is always like a envelope shaper that you control the release or and the attack. Small plug of Cubase or Logic, envelope shaper. Or you can by doing what I said in the start, when you cut the high point and not the low point, you know? And things like that will make you more attack. Sometimes you have a clap, and you really want a clap, and a clap comes with not a high point. For this, you need maybe a compressor. For this, you need a compressor, I guess.
I guess great production is also about experience, knowing when to use a compressor. You know, it's
exactly.
You don't put a compressor.
Some snares, you know, some snares comes before even, you know. Some people do snares just, it comes a little bit before and it sounds like, you know. Like this is a house trick, a techno trick. So you maybe have to use more compression than just to cut the audio on the right spot, and it's not so accurate, you know.
Okay, let's move on to hats.
All right, let's go to hats, and let's go to hats. So you know, there is like a few hats that there is. It's like the shaker. I usually do a shaker that runs in frequency, in stereo frequencies. You probably don't hear it good because we are tuned in mono. But it's supposed to be very, very open because the shaker is going on the high frequencies and you have to travel. That's how I like to put it. But the open hi-hats, it's also a very important thing in a track, in a production. The open hi-hat have to be the same. Cannot go down and up because it's a power thing also. And usually I make some layering, these very high frequencies. For example, listen to this one. It's just a click in 12,000. Tick, 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 tick. Okay? But it gives me that clean, very high click. Okay, and it's in a very high frequencies, and it's giving me to the punchy hi-hat. It gives me a punchy end. with a hi-hat. And look at the delay here, back. I just play with it, you know, and I felt that if I put it a little bit back, it will sound better. Usually in open hi-hat, if you take it a little bit back, you see? If you take it a little bit back, it will make the track run faster.
Yeah.
Probably you know about this trick, right?
It's like the drummer, like in a band, the drummer would play ahead of the beat to make it feel rushed, right?
Yeah, it's just sound much more. It sounds better, you know, like this is after bounce, okay? So because it's after bounce, you don't see the minus here, okay? But it was minus. It looked like it was minus 25, minus 18, something like that. And it makes the track run faster because become before, you know. So it feels. What if it was sitting exactly on the 8? It will sound actually more square and more like. So that's small thing that I'm using also to make it faster. And
so what about
EQ?
What else? Are you high passing a lot or boosting your percussion?
Okay, well, with the open hi-hat, you have to. A lot of people do a mistake and do something like that, like taking an EQ and then just cutting like that. You say, yeah, it's just open hi-hat, you know. I don't want to hear everything, you know. I can cut. No. Open hi-hat need to have the frequencies of the 1000 over here, around here. And that's the reason is that you want to hear from where the open. You don't want to hear open hi-hat, which is like over there, just high. You want to hear the source of it, the root of it. You want to hear the punch of it. So you need the frequencies on the 1000, 1500. You sometimes even adding them. It will sound better. Try that, and you see it's working for you.
Yeah.
But the sub, of course, you don't need the sub. If there is a sub, it's not good, of course. You don't need bass or sub.
Okay. So do you ever?
That's about EQing.
Do you ever do high boosting on your percussion?
High what?
Like boosting? You ever like boosting?
Yeah.
You ever boost it?
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I'm not trying. Okay, it's about EQ as a way in life. I'm not trying to make something what it's not when it's not him. You know what I mean? Okay. So when I'm looking at that hi-hat, okay. When I'm looking at that hi-hat, for example, and I want to boost it a little bit, I will not boost places that he don't have. You know what I mean? I will boost places already that he have, and I'm gonna make it stronger. You know. In this situation, the main open hi-hat is usually hit in 8 till 10, usually, and I'm gonna boost that place over there. But it's not enough for me because it's not shiny. That's why I put the click with the 12,000. And now it sounds complete for me. So I didn't took the 12,000 from here, because there is no natural 12,000 in this hi-hat. I will take it from a different place, you know? You're trying to boost something that is not over there, you will end up with noise or something like that, or with not a good enough thing, okay? It's a rule in EQing.